progressive kind of divide. You actually called into the Sam Seder show, the Majority Report, and
Yeah, I did.
I watched the whole video that they put out, and you know this whole kind of Sam Seder Jimmy Dore thing it's literally still going on to this day, and I know that Sam has just posted videos yesterday, maybe even today, going after Jimmy Dore. So, this is something that probably isn't going to stop anytime soon. And,
No.
I watched that video and it seemed to be like almost anything you said, he would just kind of like yell or say something. And I,
Yeah.
I was just hoping you could kind of elaborate on what the hell happened there because it didn't seem good.
No. So I had called with the most positive of intentions, as I'm Canadian. I'm a positive guy. So I called in, uh, thinking that, oh, if I just talk to Sam and I explain to him that uh, Jimmy has an important place in this dialogue because he speaks to a lot of people who are angry, and Jimmy breaks down uh, neoliberal policy really well, and he brings on progressive candidates.
Hmm.
He talks about unions. I mean, Jimmy, if you actually watch his videos and don't do what some people do and just cherry pick certain things you don't like, if you actually check out Jimmy's channel, he does incredible progressive work.
Right.
But Sam didn't want to hear it.
What was like
So it
what I couldn't even really get to understand what the real meat of the disagreement he was even arguing was. What was like the meat of the disagreement there? Because
I don't
I
really
feel like he
so
just went on like a tangent and just started saying some random stuff. I was kind of
yeah, so
confused personally.
I don't really completely understand what their disagreement is. I think part of it, I guess, is so a couple of years ago, I guess Sam Cedar had Jimmy Dore on
Yeah,
his channel as a guest, and they had a discussion.
yeah.
And if you watch that discussion, so what I took from it is I didn't think Sam was being all that kind to Jimmy, and what whether or not whoever you agree with or disagree with in that discussion, just in terms of the actual demeanor of the discussion, Jimmy was trying to find some common ground,
Yeah.
and Sam kept shooting him down, and I think Jimmy was turned off by that, and because of that, yeah, I guess they had a previous agreement that Jimmy would have Sam Cedar on his show, and then after that discussion, he didn't want to have him on, and you can't really blame the guy. I mean, if I'm talked down like that, and it it's it's not it's not productive to if you want to educate people. This is what I try to do on my channel. I try to take the perspective of everybody. Like
Hmm.
if you're a Trump supporter, I don't want to talk shit about you because I can understand how you were tricked into voting for Trump. If you're a Hillary supporter, I can understand how you were tricked into voting for Hillary. So there are these positions where and I mean voting for Hillary in terms of voting for Hillary in the primaries over Bernie. If you voted for Hillary in the general election, I don't care. I mean, good. Like it doesn't to me that doesn't matter. I think
Okay,
people should
so
vote.
so
I think people
let's
should vote how they want to vote.
right. So my kind of understanding, like how I would break it down, forget Jimmy Dore, Sam Cedar, the two names. It seems to me that Jimmy Dore was kind of a Bernie or bust, and then Sam was someone who said, I don't know if Sam supported strategic voting or if he supported just full on vote for Hillary, but either way, it's pretty similar. Um, you know, he basically Sam says, if Trump gets in office, we get possibly multiple Supreme Court justices who are going to stay on there for literally decades, and that's going to change a lot of rulings and other stuff. That he's worse on social policies and environmental policy and other stuff as well. But Jimmy says that it would unite the left and things like that. So where would you say you stand on the Bernie or bust movement? And I guess from there, who do you kind of agree with more?
Maybe this is sort of I, I don't know. I to me it's a personal choice. So if I were voting, if I were voting, it would depend on what state I'm in. So if I was in New York, I would have voted for Jill Stein. If I was in California, I would have voted for Jill Stein.
So strategic voting then.
Yeah, and what's funny is that's also what Jimmy talked about. So I remember Jimmy was on a panel on TYT and he's like, "I'm voting for Jill Stein. I'm in California. Hillary's going to win this state anyways." So to me, I mean, Jimmy was never telling people not to vote for Hillary Clinton. He was simply selling the side of, look, if the Green Party get to 5%, then they have a little more say in the next election. So that is the perspective, or yeah, that's the perspective that he was trying to push. It's not to say don't vote for Hillary. It's just like, this is why I'm voting for Jill Stein.
Hmm.
So it's the whole discussion is sort of, it's weird to me because people can vote who they want to vote for. So to give you some perspective, in Canada, we have three main parties. If in the last election, you voted for the NDP, which came in third, no one's going to ridicule you for not voting for the Liberal Party.
Hmm.
So like it's this weird thing where nobody's getting angry at anybody else for their vote. If you want to vote Liberal, vote Liberal. If you want to vote NDP, vote NDP. If you want to vote Conservative, vote Conservative. Though I think you're wrong. But there's there's reasons to vote for any of these parties. Nobody gets angry at each other for voting the wrong way. Even in so while the Liberals won the last election, before that, the NDP had a big wave, and I think it was 2011. I don't remember anybody getting angry at Liberal voters for not voting for the NDP because if they had won more ridings, they could have won that election. But there was no discussion about people being angry at Liberal voters. So it's this discussion that doesn't. It seems isolated to the U.S. And
Right.
maybe it's because it's a
So
two-party system, but yeah, I don't know.
possibly, yeah. So with all that said, I mean, what do you really make with this just massive feud? Because again, it's been going on like over a year now, and there's no end in sight. I mean, I guess
I
what do
think
you make of it?
ultimately, I don't think it matters. So I watch both Sam Cedar's show and Michael Brooks' show. Both are great shows. They do
Hmm.
great things.
Yeah, I
I
agree.
watch Jimmy's show. Fantastic show. He does great
Agree.
things. I
Yep.
think there's room for everybody. There's crossover. There's some crossover in the audience and some not crossover. So to me, everybody has a place. Everybody has their own audience. And it doesn't make sense to get angry at somebody else who agrees with you on all the policy
Yeah.
because ultimately that's the goal. Jimmy Dore and Sam Cedar agree universally on actual policy,
Hmm.
but the fight seems to be over strategy. And to call it a fight is kind of disingenuous. It's not really a fight. It's Sam Cedar, putting videos out against Jimmy
Oh,
Dore.
I see what
It's
you mean.
not Jimmy is not engaging in this, and I think that's
Yeah.
a smart thing to do because I don't think it makes sense to turn people off who enjoy watching both shows. I don't see the point of it because both serve a purpose, and I learned things from both of them. So Sam doesn't have on progressive candidates, Jimmy does. So, but Sam has on a lot of authors. Actually, so does Jimmy. But but there is this. They both serve a purpose, and they're both good in their own way. So to try and take either one down to me doesn't make sense. Uh, I, uh, I I want to push anyone out there who is maybe a Jimmy Dore supporter or Jimmy Dore hater or a Sam supporter or Sam hater. Check out the other show. Actually, go to the other channel. Don't listen to a single person's opinion of somebody else until you actually go and check out their stuff, because otherwise you're not getting a clear picture on what they're about.